Lifetime Achievement Award. Lifetime Achievement Award was created by our club several years ago, which was to recognize members who have demonstrated a lifelong adherence to Rotary's service above self ideals, much like what we saw in the video. This person must have been a member for at least 10 years and have made a significant contribution not only to Rotary and Rotary International, but into the broader community that helps make our city such a great place that it is. The Rotarian that has been selected by the committee has had a full career of leadership in various service organizations. Now, I'm not going to give the name just yet because it's something of a surprise, you know, and it's a good surprise. This person has served in multiple community organizations which have benefited from the person's skills and positive and supportive attitude. Definitely good humor, and you'll know who it is probably pretty soon. But I'm not giving it away just yet. Now I forgot, Paul Bickle was the chair of the Committee for You Rotarians. Paul's in Florida. Can you believe that? Florida, rather than being here with snow flurries. Joyce Seymour, our Sergeant Arms, is going to help me. I can't read and hold this big bowling ball award at the same, there you go. Hold this big bowling ball award at the same time, so if you'd hang on to that. Trader Joe's. Well, I heard they wanted cheap wine, so. Not cheap, it's quality at inexpensive prices, I'm sorry. That's what it is. All right, so they've served in many different things, done all these great things. Let's see. All right, by any standard, this year's recipient could have been and probably should have been recognized some time ago. We've had great ones, Wade Mounts and others that were predecessors, all of whom have done wonderful things, changing lives for the better. This person has been in our club for 26 years, served as the chair of the Youth and Education Committee, Awards Committee, Management Compensation Committee, served on a board of directors and as an officer of your board. For the last 13 years, the person, it's about to give it away. I wish I could turn around and see Joyce's face, but to see if she can figure out who this is. This Rotarian has organized a painting crew for New Directions, for example. Volunteered at Wednesday's Child in the Special Adoption Program. Women for Women selected her with their Heart of Community Award. Joyce, can you help me? I can't really figure out who this is, but it's somebody. Was a tireless fun development volunteer for Girl Scouts of Kentuckiana and a member of the Zonda Club for over 30 years and recently a director of that club. But what most of us in Rotary know is we have a dear friend, don't we? All of us in Rotary know that. We have a friend who cares about us unconditionally. And now, with Joyce's help, it's going to be my pleasure to announce who this year's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient is. Joyce, would you bring that over here and let's unveil it and just see who it is? It is a bowling ball. Oh. Let's see. I can't believe it. Joyce Seymour.
Thank you so much. 2 words, maybe 3, for those of who know me. Service above self. It was such a wonderful fit when I became a Rotarian in 1988 for this club. This community needs you and it needs me. We all need to step up. We can always do more. But thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great honor now to recognize our and welcome to the microphone and to your attention, our great mayor. What do we don't know about him? Is there anything we don't know? Well, we know he's compassionate. We know he's competitive. We know he's courageous. He's willing to take chances and make decisions which others might not well embrace. It's not an easy life being an elected official, but he's chosen that life not just for his sake, but for our sake and the generations that come after us. There's a lot of sacrifice involved. His lovely wife, Dr. Alex, has to sacrifice, the children sacrifice, his other family members sacrifice, but mostly it's a sacrifice of him. Because any of us who've been around elected politics know you're not always going to make everybody happy. And sometimes maybe they shouldn't be happy. But every day you've got to make a decision that affects someone's life that's a serious decision that's going to affect them in ways you may not even realize. So that weighs upon people. And it takes a tough person who's fair and strong who will compassionately make those decisions for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure and honor to welcome our mayor, Greg Fischer.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate that very much. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank the Rotary for making this possible. We've got a few other folks just to thank before I start. We've got a good turnout from our Metro Council here. These are colleagues that I work with every day. I appreciate the good work that you all do for the community. Great job. Thank you. So we're supposed to give them some love here. And then we've got a lot of folks here that are affiliated and work with Metro government as well. I see the water company over there, a lot of members of my staff and team, public safety. If you all would stand up as well so we can recognize and thank you, please do that if you work with or affiliated with Metro. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank my sweetheart, Alexandra Gerasimides, my wife of 26 years, and our youngest daughter Mary's here as well. So thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Well, as I think a lot of you all know, the mayor addressing the downtown Rotary about the state of the city is certainly a long-time honored Louisville tradition, so I'm happy to be here. The first time I spoke to you all, I was in office about 2.5 weeks or so I found that a little bit ironic. But now my team and I can actually speak about a measure and a series of accomplishments that we've been able to put in place over the last 3 years. But worry not. I always say there's a lot more to do and we can always move a lot faster. So these are just a few of the things that we've done. You can take a look at your table and see the Progress Louisville annual report, if you will. So just like a company puts out an annual report, we put out an annual report as well. That tells you a little bit about our series of accomplishments. One from the rousing success of our Give a Day program. Last year, we set another world record for compassion with over 107,000 volunteers. We've had a great educational success announced just 3 weeks ago with a record percentage of Louisvillians, 42%. That now hold an associate degree or higher compared to the national average of 39%. And then let's hear it for education. All right, I agree with that. And we've had a lot of innovative advances with sustainability, and we've regained all the lost jobs during the Great Recession far faster than most American cities. So there's a lot more that we could talk about here, from violent crime reduction to massive increases in efficiency and reducing cost, and all that's in your progress report. Or you can go to our website, that's at louisvilleky.gov, and read specifically about the progress against our 5 big goals that I unveiled last year when I spoke to you all. But today I really don't want to speak so much about the past. I want to look to the future, to the next 25 years or so. As many of y'all know, because you participated, we recently completed phase 2 of our Vision Louisville project. And that's our community process for planning how our city will look and feel and flow in a quarter of a century. We gathered 80,000 ideas from around the community, from a Portland swimming lake, an image you're going to see here on the screens in a second, to Transferia, which is a multimodal transit center. I saw something like this under construction in Hong Kong last spring when I was there. And looking at these ideas and images that you see on the screen, it's exciting. But man, it makes you want them today, because you know the economic growth and opportunity that comes with them. But the reality is we only get there one day at a time. So I'm going to talk about our future in 3 contexts. One is the future of cities in general. 2 is the future of jobs and economic development. And 3, Louisville's competitive place in the future. First, the future of cities. Cities like ours are more important than they've ever been. A couple stats. Globally now, 53% of all people live in cities. I mean, clearly we are in a metropolitan world. More than 80% of Americans live in a metropolitan area. And in fact, in our state, Kentucky, many people feel we're a rural state. Almost 60% of Kentuckians live in metro areas. So not only are cities culturally and economically important, they are increasingly politically important. Consider the federal government. There's no question, I think this is a bipartisan statement, that there's unprecedented gridlock in Washington, D.C. That's just a bipartisan fact. Earlier this month, a poll by the Center for Public Affairs found that 70% of Americans lack confidence that the federal government can make progress on important problems and issues. We all hope that's going to change, but that's the word it is right now. Bruce Katz, and Bruce is one of the leading thinkers for the Brookings Institution, in his book, The Metropolitan Revolution, argues that it's now up to cities to meet the challenges that federal and state governments used to lead, from improving education to growing exports. So it's the innovative and entrepreneurial cities that will meet those challenges and thrive. Cities that don't are going to be left behind with crumbling infrastructure, stagnating economy, chronic brain drain, a whole list of problems. So as we take a look at our future, to me, our choices are clear and they're obvious. We have to be innovative and entrepreneurial, and we've got to play to win. This is the only way forward. Otherwise, we're going back. There is no staying still in today's rapidly changing world. So a question then, how do we become a more entrepreneurial, a more innovative city? We've made good progress, but we can always do more. This is the critical question about innovation, entrepreneurship, as we consider our future. Now, my professional life has been one of an entrepreneur, an innovator, a business person. I just happen to be mayor right now. So as you all would suspect, my team's working every day to support entrepreneurism, homegrown startups, lure already successful companies here to our community, retain the great jobs and great people we have. But we also meet a changing dynamic that's going on around the world right now, a fundamental shift in the way people think about where they're going to work. And that dynamic is people don't follow jobs the way they used to. Jobs follow people. Jobs go to where the talented people are. So let me explain that a little bit further. It used to be that people would move to big employers, wherever that big employer was located, and big employers could use that talent that existed almost anywhere. But now, more and more, growth industries need more highly skilled workers, more innovative workers. And that's true for tech companies that are hiring social media experts or manufacturers looking for industrial maintenance technicians. So in today's world, companies can't locate just anywhere. Their workforce is not interchangeable. Companies want to locate where they can find a pool of skilled workers and a place with a quality of life to attract and retain those workers no matter where they're from. So jobs follow where the people are, the talented people. So here's an example. In Oklahoma City, a city where the voters have done a lot over the last 20 years to improve the livability of their city. So about 20 years ago, and some of y'all might remember this, Oklahoma City and a few other cities were competing for United Airlines maintenance hub. Oklahoma City lost out to Indianapolis. And when Oklahoma City asked why, the United executives told Oklahoma City that they could just not imagine their employees living in Oklahoma City, not as it existed then. Man, that hurts when you hear something like that. And that was tough for Oklahoma City to hear. But to their credit, they rebooted and they said, we are going to invest in our community. They started investing in their waterfront, in their schools, in their neighborhoods. Now people from all over the world go to Oklahoma City to use their U.S. Olympic Rowing Center. They've got a great ballpark, a convention center, trolleys, a new music hall. They're investing. Oklahoma City, Nashville, Austin, Indianapolis. These are kind of the medium-sized cities, 2.5 million and under population metro areas that we're competing against for much of economic activity and opportunity. These cities are making rapid improvements in their community's quality of place, their built environment, because they know this is the way of the future. They understand that jobs follow people. And people increasingly are living where quality of life is high. And folks are looking for the whole package. They're looking for good schools, the arts, reasonable cost of living, beautiful natural environment, friendly people, an international city, and certainly a modern, diverse, built environment as well. So naturally, if we think that's the future, and it is the future, the question is, where does it leave us? We're living in a time where metropolitan areas are their cultural, economic, and political engines for progress. And given that we live at a time when economic development is people-driven, where do we fit? A lot of good things going on. My job is to make sure we grow faster. And the truth is, we're not investing fast enough in our built environment. Not when we compare ourselves to the best growing cities around the world. And I'm not interested in comparing ourselves to average cities. We want to be the best. An example, Jim Welch, many of y'all know Jim, Brown-Forman's vice chair, spoke at the Downtown Forum recently and discussed how important the vitality of a downtown is for their company when they're recruiting talented employees from around the world. Let's face it, not many people are going to uproot their families and leave Paris, London, Hong Kong, wherever it might be, for just a job. They're looking for the best in all quality of life, job, quality of place, etc. They have high expectations for their new home. So we've got a lot of assets here in our city that are growing, we've got great momentum that we can build on. But the truth is, if we desire to join in the next level of cities, and certainly that's my aspiration and how we lead, the truth is we've got to up our game. I'm sure you've never heard that before. We've got to up our game if we want to meet expectations that all of us have. And to a person, those expectations are that we can and should be one of the great 21st century cities here in our country and recognized around the world as well. And that's a city that has the great arts, that has the great parks, that has great quality of place, where jobs are plentiful, and our kids and our grandkids can pursue rewarding careers, live healthy lives, live active lives, and raise their own families in a city of great opportunity and great progress. So if you agree that that's the goal, and that's what we're doing, the question is, how do we achieve that goal? So first, got to have a plan, right? We've got a plan. I mentioned the 80,000 ideas we received from Vision Louisville. This is the built environment plan I'm talking about. Certainly we have an economic development plan and a plan for talent attraction and creation as well. But our built environment plan, the Vision Louisville plan, 80,000 ideas came out of that. And as you can imagine, these ideas were all over the map, and both figuratively and literally. We received some ideas that were pretty predictable, like better transportation, more bike opportunities, ultra-high-speed internet, to kind of surprising ideas and fun ideas like zip lines across the Ohio River. That'd be exciting. But running throughout all these themes was kind of this feeling of excitement and passion for our city, where everybody envisioned a great and dynamic 21st century city that would compete in both quality of life and quantity of opportunities. Quality of life and quantity of opportunities, with cities all over the country and all over the world. Ask Louisvillians what they want, and they say they want a future without limitations. Partly because they want their kids and their grandkids to live in a dynamic city alongside of them, but they also want them to have the option here, that they don't have to move to New York, Chicago, London, Hong Kong, Paris to have a great dynamic international opportunity. So with Vision Louisville, it was really inspiring to see Louisvillians kind of say, we should have that kind of place too. That should be our future. That should be our place. And why not? So I want to direct you to the monitors to look at some of these fun ideas that came out of Vision Louisville. People talked about wanting a more local food environment. Look at this slide carefully. You'll see edible landscaping, kids fishing, livestock, really nice, fun environment. The next slide shows us people want lots of opportunity for activity, exercise for all ages. We know we must live in a healthier community. How do we build that natural environment that makes that even easier? People want sustainable communities. They understand that if we're not resilient and putting energy back on the grid, if our air is not cleaner, if our water is not cleaner, if our soil is not healthier, we don't have a long-term future for our community. And when it comes to the waterfront and that great beautiful waterfront that we have, imagine if the development of the waterfront became even more complete with extensive waterfront housing like you see at all waterfronts around the world. Take a look at 9th Street. What if 9th Street was transformed into a place where the community came together rather than a symbol of perceived community divisions? This is the kind of thing and the power that changing the built environment can do for us in terms of quality of life, opportunities, jobs, symbols of communities coming together. And certainly the images are inspiring to look at, but we all know the hard reality is that you can't build a community on vision alone. You got to start with the plan, got to start with the vision, but hard work and sound investments have got to follow. And just think of the parallels in your life. A business can't expect to grow without investing resources into research, into design, into capital expenditures, into marketing. A family certainly doesn't hold back a child from college just because college takes an investment of resources. And so likewise, our city cannot refrain from community investments if we expect to compete for jobs and opportunity. So we've got to responsibly think and plan for the long term and not limit ourselves with cowardly short-term thinking and an anti-investment reality if we expect to be a city of the future. We all know any business, any organization, any person for that matter, has got to grow and change with the times to invest in the future. We're in a beautiful environment today. You can see Churchill Downs as an example. If Churchill had not continued to invest in their facility, they wouldn't be the vital part of our community, and I would say the entertainment world that they are today. They get it. So as a community, when you think historically, we've always had to make quality of place investment decisions. Think how differently our community would be if our leaders before us didn't have the foresight to invest in parks. From Olmsted to the waterfront to the parklands, great investments for our community. What if we hadn't invested in our airport and our logistics sector? And these things just don't happen by themselves, right? The community makes them happen. So historically, we've invested in these type of projects through state grants, federal grants, gifts from private donors, and bonds. That's the way we've paid for these things. These aren't bad options, but none of them are nimble and independent enough, especially in today's world. We need new tools. Look at Waterfront Park as an example. It is a global best practice. It's awesome. I mean, we love it. But it took nearly 30 years from concept to completion. And you might say, well, that's fine, young fella. I mean, why are you so impatient? Okay? Because the world is not moving on 30-year time increments, okay? Our competitor cities are moving much faster than us. The good, leading, progressive competitor cities. Now, there's a whole other group that's not even thinking about what we're talking about today and going away. I'm not interested in competing with them. The competitor cities are rolling forward strong. And for us to be a community where we realize our potential, we can't just compare ourselves to ourselves. And this is a Louisville thing and a Kentucky thing. Say, we're doing better than we were a year ago. What's wrong? We're doing better than we were doing 5 years ago. Well, I agree. But any great business or any great city doesn't compare themselves to themselves. They compare themselves to who the best is in that particular industry, and that's who customers compare yourselves to. Same thing with the city. So we need more tools. We need more tools as we chart paths for responsible and citizen-driven growth. Not top-down, bottom-up, citizen-up. And so This is my way of saying we got to find a way to pay for our future. And so this is the reason that LIFT, which stands for Local Investments for Transformation, is my top legislative priority for Frankfurt. Everybody knows the legislature is in session right now. It's a beautiful thing. But we've got some work to do in Frankfurt on this session. So LIFT, the local option, it's absolutely critical, not only for Louisville, and it doesn't just apply to Louisville, it applies to every city and county in the state. So I want to talk a little bit about what this local option is. LIFT is about local control. It's about letting people vote on specific projects with specific price tags identified up front and a pay-as-you-go approach. It's about trusting local people more than state-level politicians to make the right investment decisions for their community. So I don't know about you all, but I say, let us decide. Local people, local control, the people here in this room, your brothers and sisters around the community where we come together and identify those projects and return on investment from those projects and how they can be catalytic for our community as we grow jobs and grow our future. The people represented in these photographs around the room, these are the people of Louisville. We should be able to make capital decisions for our local economy. And I know that LIFT is a critical tool that we need now to address the investment challenges and to stay competitive in a rapidly changing world. Now, I know a lot of you all are familiar with LIFT, also known as the local option sales tax, but let me recap here. LIFT gives cities and counties the options of identifying and funding a specific project or group of projects with the project specifications and cost identified in advance. The projects then would be paid for with up to a 1% sales tax, with that tax sunsetting, going away, once the identified funds are raised. And by law, these funds are kept in a specific capital account with clear provisions prohibiting it from use in the general fund. We can't do this by law right now. This can transform the community. In Louisville, a 1% sales tax would generate between $100 and $130 million a year. So that's about the amount that Waterfront Park cost. Imagine if the voters had the option to make an investment of that quality and that size every single year in our community. Imagine what that would do to the community. So there's one example, a simple example. In 1 year, we could completely pay for the remaining portions of the Louisville Loop, which is our 100-mile recreational trail around the city, and fund the construction of the 2 new regional libraries that are in plan, that are plans for. I'd say all that. Now, we could do that only if voters said, yes, we think that's important and we think that improves the value of life, the quality of place in our community. Voters could say no, but we don't even have the choice right now. Frankfurt won't let us do that right now. Our state constitution won't allow it either, but we as citizens can certainly change the Constitution. This is about local control of our future. So using the loop and the libraries as an example, if the state legislature agrees to put amendment language on a statewide referendum, and a majority of Kentuckians then vote that they feel like this local control concept should come into law, and we decide with the community group of people identifying the projects and the council approving them to go on the ballot, we could pay for something like the Louisville Loop and these libraries in less than 1 year, less than a year. If we don't do that, it will take us the next 15 to 20 years cobbling these funds together from various funding sources while our competitive cities thank us for being dysfunctional and just blow by us, okay? The reason why we're in this fix is state budgets, city budgets are under unprecedented pressure because of these pension obligations that we have that are constitutionally obligated. You may or may not agree with those obligations, but we have to pay them. 10 years ago, 4% of our general fund was pension related. It's now 15%. So an 11% increase in our expenses without a price increase being tax increase. Okay, so imagine if your business had 11% price increase, it hurts your ability to have capital expenditures. So we need options. The question then becomes, do we want to accelerate growth in the community, be competitive, or do we want to lope along and possibly recede while other cities pass us by? That's an easy decision for me to make. Lift is the way, the local option is the way to turbocharge our quality of place improvements. And I think it's a way for us to experience a renaissance in our community from the built environment. Imagine if over the next 10 years, the next 20 years, we're investing $100 million a year into our community, from parks, arts, infrastructure, transportation, what it would do to our community. That's what Oklahoma City did. $2 billion in the most conservative Republican state in the country. And you know what happened after that $2 billion? $5 billion of private capital followed. That's jobs, that's growth, that's playing to win. Now, fewer and fewer people are questioning the intellectual argument for the local option. We've got a great group of bipartisan leaders around the state that are proponents for lifts. Now, some people say it's impossible. You can't change Frankfurt. And I said, are we that pessimistic? Come on, that's a mindset where they try to push you away. I've always liked to rise to the challenge. And according to polls, when you ask the people of Kentucky, are you for the local option? For you having the right to vote on specific projects and whether or not you want to pay for them, more than 70% of Kentuckians support the concept of the local option. And that includes business leaders, civic leaders, and citizens of all political stripes. This has been a great nonpartisan, bipartisan effort. Some of our local leaders behind LIFT, Bill Stone, Bill Samuels, Mac Brown, Debbie Scapecchio, organizations like GLI, Kentucky Chamber. I want to thank all these folks and these groups for their citizenship, for their leadership, for standing up. And today, I want to ask everybody in this room to join them in this concept of local control and democracy. If you're on the sidelines, get off the sidelines. Play to win. Got to play to win as a community. And I recognize it's going to be a challenge, but I also recognize that all of you all have gotten to where you are in your lives because there were moments when you took on challenging situations as well. You've gone into sales calls where the odds are against you. You've come out with the order. You've started businesses, probably when you shouldn't have started businesses, but you did, and you toughed it through that as well. And you showed initiative and always believed that you could rise to the occasion. And that's what this situation is asking of us right now, because change in Frankfurt is hard. So the question is, do the vast majority of people who support LIFT then have enough initiative of their own to make their voices heard? Because most of the elected officials in Frankfurt really don't hear much from people for whatever reason. Most people don't know who their state representative and state senator is. And those people are making decisions that affect our lives in a dramatic way every day. So our voices have to be heard to get us the right of local control. To make it happen, 60% of the state house and 60% of the state senate must agree to place the question of the local option on a statewide referendum. So 60% of the house, 60% of the state. So step one is to get Frankfurt to move on this issue. We have the support of the governor, we've got support of leading Democrats, we have the support of leading Republicans, and many more elected officials, but we need more support. I think we're talking about the future of our community, the home for our kids and our grandkids, and all I'm asking for is the right to vote. You can vote no if you want. We should have the right to vote. And the time to get the message to the legislators is now. Session's in place, it's going to be running through April. The local option is definitely in play. In my mind, this can't wait 2 years or 10 years or 20 years because there's many other cities that are already moving forward with all these tools. In fact, 37 other states already allow cities and counties the local option. So we're not plowing new ground here, folks. We're trying to catch up so we have a tool so we can just compete with everybody else. So here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to pick up this piece of paper that you have in front of you and put that somewhere close to you. This piece of paper has a 1-800 number on it, and when you call that number, an operator will help you figure out who your legislator is and connect you just to leave a message. All you gotta do is call that 1-800 number and say, Mr. Senator, Mr. Representative, please allow us to vote. I support the local option, and I expect you to do it as well. It's that easy. And you can do that on any issue that's before the legislators. They write each one of them down. If you ever go there, you'll see them walking around with these green slips. They say, you can't believe how many people called me to talk about the local option. Don't underestimate your power as a citizen. Please use this. Citizenship is convenient in today's world. You guys can all do this between here and when you get back to your office. And I promise you that if everybody in this room called Frankfurt, and even better, when you go back to your office or at home tonight, send this out to 10 of your friends and tell them to look at liftkentucky.com and have their voices heard. Frankfurt will move faster toward the future, but your voice has got to be heard. Look, you guys are part of Rotary because you care about our community. That video summed up Rotary: compassion, involvement, citizenship. You understand that a vibrant and vital community creates opportunity for everybody. Got to grow the pie. Got to create more opportunity. That's what creates more jobs. You got to invest to win. You don't starve yourself to win. So please act on your care and commitment to give people the right to vote on this. Now, I'd say my administration, we're off to a pretty good start in 3 years, but we got a lot to do. Measured by jobs alone, we can see Louisville's potential for growth. Last year, more than 12,000 jobs were created. Certainly, I did not create those, but we created a platform for growth and entrepreneurship here in the community. Since the recession, all 42,000 jobs that were lost during the recession have been retained. So we know our economic development strategy, a cluster strategy, is working well. Our quality of life strategies are strong as well. So now the question before us today is, where do we go next? Are we going to be content just saying that we climbed out of this hole of the Great Recession? Are we just going to say, yeah, it's good enough, things are okay? Well, I don't think so. Or are we going to take this momentum that we have right now, not just economically, but with quality of life, all the visitors that we have coming to our city right now, we're going to take this momentum and fundamentally and positively change the trajectory of our city. That's exciting. That's an opportunity. That's where we're at right now, and it's a wonderful time to be there. Let's seize that moment. Henry Ford once said that one of the greatest discoveries a person ever makes, one of his greatest surprises, is when that person discovers he can do what he was afraid he could not do. I think in this community, a lot of people had given up on the idea, let's say, that we could even build a bridge anymore. But we proved this year that we could build that bridge after 4 decades. Beautiful picture on the screen right now. So it's a symbol of progress. We don't need to wait 4 decades for more progress. We know how frustrating that was. And we can build bridges. In fact, I believe the men and women of Louisville, the citizens of Louisville, the boys and girls of Louisville, together, we can have ideas and achievements as big and grand and great as any people in the world. And in fact, we have to. So I ask you all, continue growing your businesses. Please, continue your acts of compassion in the community and make your voices heard with elected officials. I'm old-fashioned, I'm patriotic, but I believe there's no challenge too big that citizenship can't solve. That means we're engaged, we're owners in this country. So thank you for allowing me to serve. It's been a great honor to be mayor, and I look forward to sharing this journey of growth and citizenship with you all over the coming years.